So in this video, we're going to talk about debugging connection errors in case you make a mistake when you're connecting things up. It's really common, and even with these debugging videos, I still think there's a chance that you might make a mistake. So definitely come back and refer to this if you get one of the errors I'm going to show you in this video. So we're going to go here and we're going to pretend that we had selected our view accidentally, and we thought this was our label. It's pretty common. And we're going to go ahead and just drag this down here. We're going to make sure that, we select outlet. And let's just say we thought this was going to be our message label. Now, let's give this a slightly different label name just so we don't confuse this. So we'll call this like message label rev for revised here. And we can connect this up. Now, let's say, hypothetically, we suddenly realize our mistake. Oh my goodness, I hooked up the UI view. Actually, I meant to hook up a different thing. Or let's say you realize your mistake here, right? You meant to call this message label. You had actually hooked up your message label and you wanted to correct it. Well, let's say you hypothetically just decided, okay, let me fix this by just deleting this IB outlet. Now try running your application here, and our application is going to crash, right? We're going to go here, we're going to press a message, and boom, we get a crash. And the important part I want to show you down here is at the bottom here, we can actually enlarge our console area pressing this button, right? So we'll make it larger so we can see our error a little bit easier here. And you get this huge stack trace, but the important information, especially if you're posting to the discussion forums about some sort of error you're getting, be it a connection error or any other error you're getting where you're seeing this thing, always scroll to the top. And this is the important information. If you're going to screenshot your information, this is what I need to see to help you. So in this case, we're going to see postcard.viewController, and it's going to give us the memory location, set value for undefined key. This class is not key value coding compliant for the key message label rev. So this might sound like absolute gibberish, but what we can see here is the message label rev. And you're going to see this and hopefully think back to, oh wow, I just created an IB outlet with this name. It must have something to do with that, right? You kind of want to just start thinking about what the problem might be. And then you might say, okay, well, I know I deleted the IB outlet, but when we create these connections, so let's just go open up our storyboard again. When we create these connections, what's actually happening here is we're generating a property, right? This at IB outlet. This entire thing is our property here, our property definition. We're generating this property that we can see really easily, but the other thing that's being generated is a connection in our storyboard here. So if we were to click on our storyboard, I'm going to go back to single view here, and I'm going to open up my right panel, and we select the far right hand item here for our connections inspector. We're going to see now this message label rev. And when we just saw our error message, we saw that it was not key coding compliant for the key message label rev. So this would be the connection we'd be looking for. But if we didn't know that the connection or error was in view, we could kind of click through all of our view elements here and start looking for message label rev here. So we can click here, 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 and then we finally get to view and this appears. So what we would want to do would be to go back to our assistant editor. Let's open this up. And we want to click through and look for all our IB outlets. That's why we keep all our IB outlets at the top here. So it's really easy to find these all. And we would see that there is no message label rev. Well, we can remove that from our storyboard by just pressing this X here. And that will remove the referencing outlet. And if we go back to single view here, we can go ahead and rerun our application. And we're going to see that this error has gone away. So that's how we remove them. We could also rehook up elements. So let's go back to our view controller. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key and press on this again. I know it's a lot of moving views in Windows here, but I'm going to guess that you're going to want to do the same thing. So kind of seeing that is probably pretty good. You want to get comfortable moving around in between all of these different panes. Right now, this is hooked up to our message label, right? So let's go and select our message label here. And actually, let's do the enter name text. It'll be a little bit easier to do since we can see it here in the storyboard. And we see this referencing outlet. So if we press the X, we're going to see that the circle is now empty for our enter name text field. Right? This is now empty. This means it's no longer connected up. When we hover over this, it shows it. But when we hover over this, it no longer highlights this. So if we have an empty connection here, we can just click on our connection and we can drag back into the storyboard and we can make sure that we hook this up to the right UI element. Now, I mentioned in our last video, what happens if we hook this up to multiple elements? Well, if we click on our enter message text field, we now see that it's hooked up to both of these IB outlets here, and we only want it hooked up to one. We only want it hooked up to the enter message text field IB outlet. So we can once again remove the additional one. And by hooking this up to the second one, right, it's removed it from the enter name text field, so we can just connect this back up to the proper one. So we're going to now see that all three of these are hooked up to the proper UI element. We added this debugging video because once again, having these connection errors is so common